truly 100% white or Caucasian that grew up in a black neighborhood and has a certain empathy, to me, that's little to no difference. It's the society. Can you escape your blackness? The society
see you as black.
Yeah. So my thing is like, you can share that, we had, the white mics and all these dudes, like everybody has that cool white boy, whatever. But if they wanted to abandon you and abandon their blackness or their group of black friends, you can never see them again and they'll be okay. What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined with my co-host Rozzy and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Yo, real quick, 2 shows that came out that just dropped last week that are fire. Raising Dion, season 2. So if anybody is
Raising
on
Dion is trash.
What?
It's trash. Continue.
Raising Dion is
trash. Dion is a horrible kid.
He is not.
He's so annoying. He is horrible.
He's a 10-year-old, bro. He's a 10-year-old with superpowers. Like,
and just
like,
walks
what,
out.
You think he's gonna be like?
He does what the show would be 5 minutes, 1 episode long if Dion had some self-control and discipline. His mama whooped his ass every blue moon. I'm just saying. Continue. Your first show is garbage. Don't waste your time, people. Continue.
All right. Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime. So if you like the Jack Reacher series or the movies that what's his name, Tom Cruise was in, they actually did a really good casting of it this time. Dude's a beast. He's huge. It really fits with the book. So if you like the books, if you like kind of like crime dramas type thing, it's really, really good. I suggest that. But in current events, I wanted to bring up, did you guys see that 2 kids in Russia, they were teenagers and they got sentenced to 5 years in like a Siberian gulag or some junk for blowing up a government building, but they blew it up inside of Minecraft and the Russian government still put them in jail for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Russia.
That's Russia.
That's kind of steep, but maybe Dion needs to go over to Russia.
So that's all I got, man. It's just it was just really interesting to me that the difference in laws and what you can do here versus what you can do over there. Like you can't even do stuff in virtual reality or in that type of space. You still end up going to jail.
Russia on that. I ain't one of your friends. I ain't one of your little friends.
Exactly.
That's how the Russian government. I ain't one of your little friends. You ain't gonna be blowing up our buildings.
First off, welcome once again, Inspire You on Air listeners. Thank you guys for tuning in. We always ask you subscribe on any podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Google. We on all that there. So subscribe to us. Check us out. Three Brothers No Sense. I got a couple of things I wanted to talk about. One, your girl Adele received an award over there at the Brit Awards, and people are talking about canceling her because she won. Well, I guess their awards now are like non-gender or whatever, neutral gender or however you say it. And when she won the award, she was like, I understand why you guys changed the award or whatever, but I just want to say I love being a woman. Like I enjoy being a female artist. I like that. And so people are asking to cancel her, and some people are saying that she is canceled. One, I don't think she could be canceled. Doesn't work that fast. Like true cancel culture works when said person that's canceled puts out a body of work and nobody messes with it anymore, or they're so afraid that that'll happen that they no longer do it anymore. So saying that Adele is canceled like 3 days after getting this award and saying what she said, that's not true. Now, I don't think she deserves to be canceled. Go ahead, Ferg.
So why are they canceling her again?
She likes being a woman.
She likes being a woman. Yeah, she likes being a woman. And she said that.
So being a woman is not good.
Well, they are pushing a non-gender specific culture now. They're calling her transphobic and stuff like that. So while I don't think she deserves to be canceled, I will say this. She deserves some of that smoke. And the reason why I say it is because she knew what she was doing. If you go to that type of award show, you win that type of award, and then you make it a point to say, yeah, that's cool. I know you guys don't want to, identify specific genders, but I'm just going to let y'all know I like being my gender. I agree with Adele. But if you're going to do it in that space with that type of audience, you're asking for that smoke. That's all I'm saying.
Was it a transgendered award show? Or was it just...
I don't know. It was the Brit Awards, but I think the award was like it wasn't a male. You know how you have male artists of the year?
Yeah, like artist of the year.
Yeah,
like
it was like
all inclusive.
Yes.
So my thing is, I vehemently disagree with you then on that. Like, if she went to a transgendered show, that's one thing, but it's like you're at everything, and all of a sudden they give you this award that, like, you don't apply for these awards. It's just
because you like smokes, Ferg. Because if you win and won an award that said, "Hey, this isn't a black award," like say it's usually,
was that the only award she won today?
Say it's usually a black award and a white award, and they say, "Hey, this isn't a black award. This isn't a white award. This is a non-racial award," and you get up there and say, "Hey, I know why y'all doing the no race thing, but I just want to let y'all know I am proud to be black." You know you're going to get some smoke for that.
I think that's completely different because it's never been a award show where there's like, okay, there's a black artist award and a white artist award. They have always separated.
Grammys versus BET awards and the Soul Train awards.
So it's a separate award show.
The Source Awards.
But when you're going just to do something and all of a sudden they create this thing, it's like, I feel like if that's the only award she went for, or it's, I done won 5 awards and you're kind of just saying, hold on, we're not recognizing you as... It's almost like the whole OJ. I'm not OJ. I'm what? I'm not black. I'm OJ.
Yeah, that's it.
It's, hey, I'm just, hey, I'm not going to step away. I am proud to be a woman. And I think we should stop. She's making a social... Now, if there's backlash, I get it. But I don't think she should be canceled. Or,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah,
you said she deserves
basically,
it.
She's saying it's like saying I don't see gender instead of like I don't see race, which is a microaggression in itself. Like you don't see gender.
Canceling her over that is utterly ridiculous, and I just want to.
It is.
I want to say that.
Yeah.
I do have one other thing too, real quick. Your favorite show, This Is Us. Spoiler alert, people. I'm not gonna give away too much. So spoiler alert. This Is Us.
They didn't have an episode this week, though.
But we recording with us today, Friday. So. This past episode, I just want to point out how a particular moment hit home for me. I forget the characters' names all the time, but what's the politically correct way to say a large person?
Kate.
There you go. Kate pretty much told her mom, don't want you watching the kids because you're having all these memory losses and things like that. And I just remember a couple of years leading up to my mom's death, that she was having, those type of moments. And I remember watching that scene, like thinking, man, that was real cruel of Kate. But I also remember feeling that way. Like, so instead of doing what she did, I just always made sure either me or Tabitha were also there, or that she was with, other guardians at the time whenever she would watch Jasmine. But it's a tough thing, man, and it hit hard. And I don't know how it came across to people that were watching the show that day, because I get if you look at it and say, man, that was real cruel of her to say. But, when you bring your kids into the world, you protect them against anybody in anything. So it's just a part that really hit home for me, especially with the fact that she's been losing her memory a little bit since last season and into this season. And, I don't know. I don't have any point to make other than it just hit home for you, boy.
I when I saw that, my initial shock was, I hate Kate.
Yeah.
Let's get a t-shirt. But then I had to step back and think it's not always so black and white. It's like you have to protect these kids. Mm-hmm. And I think she tried to skirt around it as much as possible.
She did, yeah.
And it's just like, you gotta rip the Band-Aid off, because her mom was...
He was pushing it.
Yeah, at that point in time, it's kind of like, I got to go there. Like I got to go there. I got to have this conversation. And if you remember, the hard part for Kate was the fact that her and her mom's relationship was the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
5 years ago, no problem.
Yeah.
Now it's like, man, we're finally vibing. We're at this thing. I don't know how much longer I have left with you. I want you around my kids as much as possible. But now's not the time. So,
and even with me going through that, I still initially felt like you did first, like, what the hell wrong? And then I was like, well, I get it.
I got it. I mean, but
I had to do the same thing with my dad. Like, you know, he just couldn't be up with the kids running around after them. So I had to do the same thing. It's like, basically I waited as I'd leave them with him if I would leave them alone at the house by themselves anyway. Like, you know, if I'm running to the store or something like that real quick type thing, that's when I leave them alone with him. Other than that, it's like no haps. Like, we got to find somewhere else that we can, you know, get them, watch them. Somebody else can watch them, something like that. Because I knew that he didn't have it in him to be able to, like, he'd be coherent and fun and play with them and everything 1 minute. And then all of a sudden he'd forget that he's even watching them or like they're even here. So, you know, that's the issue, is that you didn't want to risk that. Yeah. You couldn't risk that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go this way then. Since you brought up cancel culture, the whole Joe Rogan thing is very interesting. Yeah. The whole Joe Rogan. So for people that don't know, Joe Rogan is the largest podcaster in the world. He has the largest following in the world. Yep. 10 to 11 million people, I think, per episode, somewhere around that. And recently, a few years ago, Spotify bought the sole rights to air his podcast. And he's always been known to kind of speak his mind, push the envelope. To me, he represents what the everyday average white man wants to be or say. Not necessarily racist, not necessarily sexist, just kind of like, it's okay to be a white man. And some of his thoughts, you know, he's been questioned several times about the pandemic. He's had various scholars on that support, you know, studies, and some that don't support studies. In one of his most recent episodes, he had this guy who was very controversial speak about the pandemic, and he had a lot of followers, and it just became this huge thing. And so 250 medical providers wrote a letter to Spotify basically saying, hey, you guys need to censor this guy. The things he's spewing is very dangerous. And Spotify kind of like, you know, we'll look into it. And Joe Rogan's whole thing is, I'm not a journalist. I'm just an everyday guy asking questions and just wanted the answers and just trying to give everybody a platform. And so several artists pull their music from Spotify. And what's so crazy is, under most circumstances, companies censor these type people. They go back and apologize and make stuff happen. Even when most recently, after Joe Rogan kind of apologized for the whole half apology for the whole COVID thing, NDRE comes to that Hines like, hey, I don't rock with y'all either, because this dude done said the N-word God knows how many times. And so they played clips of him continuously saying the N-word. And it wasn't in like he was calling somebody that. He was doing a reference or saying, you know, repeating after somebody. And he came out and apologized again. But the question is, we talked about Whoopi Goldberg last week, where she got 2 weeks suspended. But now Joe Rogan's getting nothing. It's kind of like, we pay him too much money. He's bringing in too much money. It's almost like this dude is uncancelable. And so I'm very interested to see how this plays out. That wasn't a question or anything, but I just wanted people to understand and watch. I think because of the amount of money he brings in and who he represents, you can't cancel the people in power. Unfortunately, I hate to say it like that. You can't cancel white men who represent the average white man. Rich white men, you know, like, they can't all relate to a rich white man, but they can relate to a Joe Rogan who's still rich, but kind of comes off as that everyday guy.
Yeah, he has a persona. But Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can. It's just extremely hard, but you can, and you get like a ton of chances before you get actually canceled. But Bill O'Reilly finally got put out the paint.
Yeah, and it just depends. Like we said, he's not gonna get canceled for saying the N-word. You know why? Because you don't get canceled for being racist.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But it's even the racism and the censorship. Like, so you got to think all the stuff that Twitter and Facebook, the backlash they had when Trump was spewing. Because one of the things is like, are you guys going to do some fact checking, or are you going to put some kind of censorship, or are you going to put some kind of warning labels on the things that he's saying? Because, you know, the most powerful man in the world was basically taken off social media to a certain extent because the mistruths and things that he was.
I think, and we're probably getting into an actual question at this point, but I think that's good that we actually do talk about it. But I think that it's a little different, right? Where social media platforms are there, and yes, people are talking and they have followers and everything. Spotify is a little different. If they start banning podcasts or censoring podcasts or saying what podcasts can and can't say, are they going to do that with the music that they play too? They don't do that with the music. They don't say, "Oh, we don't like this genre. Oh, you're talking about this. You can't be on
that
this
was one
platform."
of the responses. And guess what genre of music they used to show that we don't censor people?
Which one?
Rap. It's always like, well, rappers do bad stuff all the time. You could just say, hey, musicians have freedom of speech. They went and literally said rappers, just like.
I'm not saying Spotify ain't racist. What I'm saying is the reality of it all. And so, you know, as podcasters on Spotify, you know, some of the things that we say may not come off as, oh, you know, people shouldn't be listening to that. And so I agree with Spotify with keeping them on the platform and saying it's up to you to listen or not. We're a platform that gives everybody a platform. That's the whole point about podcasting versus FCC regulations and being a news station. I understand what you're saying.
So let's say somebody complained. We did the exact same thing. Somebody complained to Spotify that we did it. Is it okay because he's a rich white man that brings them millions of listens, or is it right or wrong? That's my whole thought process behind it. Is it situational because he is their biggest bang? Or are they just saying, hey, anybody can say what they want to say. Anybody can do it. You know, if they got pushed back to cancel Three Brothers No Sense, would they cancel us? If we did what Joe Rogan did and we got the backlash,
we wouldn't. I doubt they'd cancel us either. Okay, because we don't go against their terms of the terms or whatever it is. I mean, and so that's my thing. And now that the segment that I like on the Daily Show one time, Jon Stewart brought 99 scientists and then one scientist that was saying some random crap, right? And he was just like, too often we try to do this whole, I'm trying to balance and give everybody a voice. But what ends up happening is it sounds like it's a 50-50. It's, you know, half of the scientific population says this and half of the scientific community says this. And he's like, no, I want you to really see the difference of 99% of the scientific community says this. And you have this 1% of person saying something different. And I think that's what we need to make sure is happening, is that we aren't giving that obscure misinformation person a platform that's, you know, equally as important or equally as loud as the consensus. So that I think we need to talk about. But I agree with Spotify on their stance with Joe Rogan. I really do.
But let's go ahead and that's all I got, fellas. Let's go ahead and get Sophie on and do this. Are you ready for your next comedian?
Yeah. Is she funny?
Funnier than Rozzy. Sophie, we missed you. You look so...
We missed you more.
I know you do.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. I feel like it's been like 3 or 4 years.
So do I. It's forever.
Yeah, blame Daddy.
It was your fault.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you in forever. Yeah. And I can't drive, so that's his fault.
Definitely. It's definitely his fault. 100% his fault. And
I cannot drive.
And guess what, Sophie? And he's been doing a lot of bad jokes lately.
Daddy,
Bad.
we doing bad jokes?
No, they've been hilarious.
How could you do this to me?
A horrible joke, Sophie. We were signing a petition to bring you back.
Yay!
Yeah, there's a
I'm
hashtag.
back.
There's a hashtag. What's your favorite hashtag, Buff?
Bring back Sophie.
There are people that's starting
Yay.
that bring back Sophie hashtag. So, all right, what do you have for us? Give me a good joke.
What do you call a man with an axe in his head?
Oh God, I don't know. What is it, Sophie?
An ambulance, quickly.
That is true. That is true. Welcome back. It's good to have you back. It's
Welcome, exactly. Thank you, Sophie. I needed that laugh. You made my week. Thank you.
Bye.
It's just the giggles between. That's all it is. I should start giggling between.
You sound like
The question
you
and
sound
answer.
like a hater, sir.
Welcome back, Razi. All right. So, who wants to go first then? Since I kind of
This might not even be a question that stands because I think I've asked this before, so you guys let me know. But I wanted to ask about kids quitting, as far as if they're in something like a sport or some type of extracurricular program, and after 1 or 2 weeks they say I want to quit. I ask that because do you look at it as, okay, they're not into it, I'm not finna waste any more of my money into it. Since they don't want to do it anymore, fine, I'll let them. Or do you make them, or do you say, no, you're not going to give up on things and quit. You're going to see this through. And then next season or next year, whenever it comes back around, you still don't like it, we won't sign you up. But you signed up for it, so you got to see it through.
For me, it's definitely got to see it through because I'm not, like you said, I ain't wasting my money. If I paid $150 for you to do, baseball, you gonna do baseball this season. I don't care. So, and truthfully, especially when a kid's first starting out with a sport, they usually aren't very good right off the rip, right? And I think that's a lot of why they're like, oh, I don't like it or I don't want to do it because they feel like they're not good. And so I do want them to go through the season, see if they get better, see if they start liking it, and have that commitment of like, look, you signed up for it. Your team's dependent on you. They need you. So I give that speech a lot too, because Ollie has been like, I don't want to do this no more. And I'm like, nope, you got to finish out this, this season. And he did that with soccer. And by the end of the season, he loved it. And now he wants to do fall and spring soccer. Like I can't even get him to play baseball because he wants to do soccer like year round. So, it's one of those things that I think making sure that they do really give it a chance and don't like just stop right off the bat when it's hard or whatever. But I'll tell you, my dad with football, I went to maybe 3 practices of football and we were lining up and somehow I got hit in the balls and I couldn't breathe.
You got Peter Griffin.
And yeah. And so I quit after that. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do it no more. And my dad actually let me stop doing it. So yeah, I was just like, nope. And that's how I stopped playing football.
Real quick before you jump in first, if it's something that you pay each time they go, like say if it was like Jasmine likes art, if it's art class and it's like each session you pay, and after the second one they say, Daddy, I don't want to do it anymore. Do you still make them go throughout, or do you save the rest of your money and say fine? Versus like a sport where you've already paid your money, so yeah, I can see you making them finish that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably have to have a big a talk about why, because obviously you really wanted to do it because you made me sign you up for it. Because I didn't just randomly sign you up for these art classes. Like I ain't trying to do nothing extra. So you asked me to sign you up for art class. What is it that you're saying you don't want to do it? Prime example, the kids with chess club. Like they wanted to do chess club, and so after I think 1 or 2, they were like 1 or 2 sessions, they were like they didn't want to go anymore. I was like, why? And they were like, the guy's mean. And I was like, what do you mean he's mean? And it was like, well, he's like really strict. He's not like mean, but he's really strict. And I'm like, well, there's like 70 kids in the little chess club, and he's trying to like wrangle all y'all. I understand that, you know, he might be, and he does have like a little like ornery kind of personality about him or whatever. And so what I did is I said, well, give me 2 more meetings or whatever, and then if you guys want to stop. So I didn't let him just stop all of a sudden, but I was like, you don't have to go the whole time or whatever. You can go to like 2 more meetings. If you're still feeling like, you know, he's really mean and you're not liking it or you're not clicking with him, then okay, cool, we'll stop. But after those 2 extra sessions, they were like, well, we'll finish the season, or we'll finish the session. I think it was like a fall session or whatever, so for the semester. But, you know, so you got to have that conversation with them to see why they're saying that they don't want to go. And if it is something like, you know, they don't like the instructor, maybe you go find another instructor for them, because if they still want to do art, but they just don't like that person, then that person might not be the instructor they need.
Yeah, so I agree with you for the most part, Razi. Like sport, put it this way, if it's a team thing and people are depending on you, I want to teach them more than the sport itself is accountability and seeing it through because you're affecting other people. Sky played soccer this year, and there were some teams that had just enough to play. Mm-hmm. So if one person quits, they're short a player. So you wanted to play, let's do this. Now, whatever we have to do to make it more enjoyable, because I don't want to make it about the money. My thing is, I committed to that, and that money's gone. If I sign somebody up for like art class or chess and it's pay as you go, in my mind, I've already budgeted for that amount. So I don't want to make a decision about my kids based off the money. I want to try to do what's best for them. Now, if it's something individual, I agree with you to the point. It's like, let's give it a couple of more lessons or a couple of more sessions, because even as adults, we'll commit to something, and because we don't like it, we got to just see it through. You know, if we have the option to quit, we have way more foresight, we have way more self-control, and we will quit in a heartbeat. And we're expecting little kids to say, well, you know, you committed to this. Think about how many people, if they had to commit to the gym, would be killing themselves because they don't want to go, or whatever they do. So to expect a 6-year-old, 7-year-old to say, well, you said you want to play soccer this year, so you got to play for the next 3 months, and now they hate soccer. And like you said, some of it might be situational, where if we take out the things that make us want to keep them doing it, like the money, or, you know, this idea of, well, you committed to something, you got to do it, because we commit to stuff all the time and don't do it. It's okay. Like you said, Jasmine likes art. You put her in art. Maybe it's the wrong kind of art class. Maybe she wants to be in something, maybe one more one-on-one, or maybe she needs another instructor. Like if she truly, or he truly wants to do something, truly figuring out, like you said, Razi, why they want to quit and what they want to get out of it is the I guess the best thing at that point. If you really want to do what's in my opinion, what's best for the kid, and not what's just best for your wallet.
Mm-hmm. Very, very great answers. It's one of those questions I asked that I don't necessarily have an answer to. It's kind of like I just wanted to get some feedback on it, because I always wondered how I would handle it if it ever came up. Because on the one hand, I don't like wasting money. So if it's one of those things where we pay as we go, and I do all the things you guys say, like ask the why and try to get to the root of it. If I determine that, hey, maybe it's best she stopped, then cool. My daughter, like, you know, just listen to you saying Sky plays soccer and stuff. My daughter has not taken interest. She did dance. That was mostly because Tabitha pushed her to, and that was it. She got into art, and I've been so excited about that, to where this upcoming summer, she has agreed to take some art classes at George Mason University, where they teach how to do like type Pixar type animation. Yeah. Because at first she said no. Because she really likes that one type of art, like that anime type of drawing and stuff like that. And so when we first asked her, she was like, "No, I'm good. I don't want to do it." And then it's like she came back maybe, I don't know, a few hours later. She's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I'm excited about that. But as a dad, you know, you kind of wish she would get into a sport or two. So every once in a while, I mess with her and be like, "Hey, you gonna run track? are you going to at least, give it a shot? And she's like, no, I don't want to. So it's just something I always wondered, like, how do parents handle that? Because you don't want your kid to feel like you can just quit anytime something gets hard or difficult or you don't like it the first couple of times. So just one of those I was wondering type questions.
But I know I know a lot of parents who are athletes or former athletes, and it's not about what the kid wants. It's my kids are going to be in athletics. Yeah. I can't imagine a life. And I had a conversation with somebody a few months ago that I couldn't imagine a life with athletics. They need to be involved. What do kids do if they're not doing athletics? And I was like, be kids, and so they just didn't see it. And so their kids are always going to be in something athletic, and it's not about what the kids want at all. It's just their expectation.
And parents, be careful with that. Like, I know our generation is brought up on, you got to be outside, you got to be active. Don't be on the computer or that game all day. But, Rozzy has mentioned it way back in the day on one of our earlier shows, how there's money in esports. There's money in creating games and stuff like that. If your child is so into something, find out why they're into it, and you might can find a way to guide them in a direction to monetize it one day. So
yeah, but I'm still with I don't believe in addiction or anything. Like, too much of anything is bad. So like they can be into gaming and stuff, but if they can't go a day without getting on their game, or they're having a freaking breakdown because they can't get their iPad or whatever, the gaming system, then, like my kids love their iPad, what?
I mean, you was calling me a Rozzy Bougie earlier, but go ahead. Go ahead.
They've gotten hand-me-down iPads. I've had them for work.
Right.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah, so
hand-me-down.
Hand-me-down.
That means you bought it.
I got an iPad at the house with the steel, the brick thing, the long. So yeah, and it still gets used.
My daughter doesn't have an iPad. That's all I got.
I ain't gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
So I will tell you though, one of the hardest things is pulling them out of whatever you put them in though. Especially if it's something that, like gymnastics. Sophie stopping gymnastics was kind of weird. Because it's you go 2-3 times a week sometimes, and so those folks and everything, and all of a sudden you kind of like disappear. That was weird, and it really came down to, she was like, it was getting too competitive. She was feeling too pressured, and it wasn't fun anymore. And so that's when I pulled her out, because she was like, I don't want to do that. I want to have fun. And I was like you're talking about for letting them be kids. I was like, if it's not fun to you, I'm not trying to make you be an all-star gymnast if that's not what you want to do. So if it's not fun to you, let's not do it. Let's find something that is fun for you. And she really likes Taekwondo, and that's what they do now to stay active. So, but I do agree that you got to find something to keep them active some way, right? Like, you can't just have them playing on the iPads or playing on the computer all day long, day in, day out, and not being active at all. So you got to find that balance there. Take them on hikes or something.
All righty. What you got for us, Rozzy?
So for me, I know it's Valentine's Day, and I was going to ask a Valentine's Day question, but I don't want to get in trouble. So
nah, man, get in trouble.
Nah, bro, don't get in trouble.
No, I'm smart. See? No, but I was watching a video today, and it was Talib Kweli was on a show, and they were talking about ghostwriters. And they were everybody's so caught up on, MCs can't have ghostwriters, MC can't have ghostwriters. And Talib was like, I really don't care. I'm cool with a MC having a ghostwriter, and can still be in that conversation of being the greatest MC, or in a top 5 or a top 10, because he was like, he doesn't mind Biz Markie being brought up in a top 10 conversation or whatever. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about ghostwriters. Like, Drake has a ghostwriter, but people say he's one of the greatest of this generation, right? This era. And he has ghostwriters, and nobody questions that. So I want your guys' opinions on, can somebody have ghostwriters and still be in your top 5, top 10, conversation? Not GOAT. Now, I ain't talking about like your GOAT conversation. But actually I am. Can they be in that GOAT conversation if they weren't a lyricist?
Yep. Because there's a bunch of lyricists who will never make it in the GOAT conversation. And because they don't bring anything else they don't have the stage presence. They don't have all these other things that make Drake. So my thing is, if you're weighting everything, and lyricism is, on a scale of 1 to 10, and you get a 6 on that, but you're getting a 9 and a 10 on everything else, and now you walk away with a 45, and you got the best lyricist who doesn't make bang. Nas, to me, I'm a Nas fan, right? Lyrically, to me, just one of the dopest. But Nas does not put down tracks that bang in the club, that bring people continuously to listen to his albums. People are asking him to make features like that all the time. Maybe it's because of the timing. He's older, but it's still, if you weight everything the same, there's other things that make you a great rapper. Because when I think we feel obligated to just go, and you said MC, it's safe to just stay with lyrics, right? It's safe. So you can't, if I say, oh, dude's a lyricist, you can't really go at me at that. Yeah, he do be having some bars, but it's like, okay, name his top songs, name the last time you listened to his shit. But you'll be playing Lil Uzi Vert in your car because his shit banging. But you ain't playing Talib Kweli or somebody like that in your car on a regular basis because it don't move you like that. So you can be in there. You just got to be great. You got to be great at everything else. And I'm not saying Drake is the GOAT or anything like that, but he gets the people going.
No.
I knew that was coming. That's it.
Yeah. So because like Tupac isn't considered a lyricist, but he still wrote his own raps, and he's still considered by many to be at least in the top 10. So in order to be in the top 10, we're not asking you to be the greatest lyricist of all time, but you need to do the bare minimum, which is write and spit your own lyrics. It's the only genre of music we ask. R&B singers, we don't ask for them to write their own songs because it's about the tone, the pitch, who can hit the highest notes and all that stuff like that. Whitney Houston didn't write a lot of her songs. Toni Braxton didn't, but they could sing. Beyonce can sing. She can entertain and stuff like that. Rappers, the core essence of it is, can you
not
rhyme?
Lyrics.
Can you rhyme?
Nope.
And yes, it is.
It's not lyrics.
It absolutely is.
It's absolutely
You had
not.
your answer. Give me mine. Thank you.
It's absolutely
you had
not,
your
though.
answer. Give me mine. Give me
But
mine.
You're making my point. Everything you're saying about these, dog, don't get salty. I'm just fucking with you, man. Relax. Dog. Come back to the mat.
Dog, we
can't argue. We can't argue on the
we
mic.
already got a criticism about talking over each other. Remember? So, but yes, you have to be able to spit your own raps. That's the genre that you're in. If someone else can do it for you, you're a good artist. You're a good performer or whatever, but you're not in the top 10 conversation. And like I say, Pac, not a lyricist, still considered one of the GOATs. You cannot be a lyricist and still be considered a GOAT if you do everything else. But you got to be able to spit your own rhyme.
Okay, so what about female artists? Because, I mean, Lil' Kim is in that conversation of greatest female artists ever, and I don't think she wrote like any of her stuff. Like, Big wrote most of her stuff. And people put her up there.
Who is people?
I mean, when you talk about top 5, top 10 female artists, Lil' Kim's gonna be in that conversation.
Yeah, one album. Well, one real album. But I mean, okay.
So that's my thing. I think
she rapped after he died, so clearly he wasn't writing for, like on hardcore, and
somebody else was. though. I mean, Jada was writing for like it was a lot of people that was writing for her.
And
so what?
Go ahead.
What makes rap that only like you throw in these other rules for rap? Like Whitney Houston can be the best female singer, best female artist of all time, but she doesn't have to write her because she does so many other things. Because
the talent in rap is spin those bars, like being able to put words that rhyme to a particular beat and performing it. Singing it, you have to have the voice. In rap, you don't have to sound like Big. You don't have to sound like Jay.
But Drake do all that.
You can sound like
Drake does all that. He just don't write it.
Well, and that's why he's a great. Listen, he's handsomely paid, but he's just not considered one of the greatest.
But I'm saying, but everything you're saying that he has to do, outside of writing it. Like the beats, the lyrics,
he has to deliver
everything that makes a great
but
MC.
There's no delivery if no one writes it for him, guys.
But somebody can write it. I could write the best rhyme in the world. If I can't deliver it, it's a waste of time.
And you won't be considered a top 10 artist.
But you have all these lyricists who aren't still considered the top 10 because they can write it, but they can't do the other stuff. So if there's all these things that make a great MC and the delivery is a big part of it, because when they talk about Tupac, like Tupac's delivery, like it's like, dog, he made you feel it.
Yeah.
You know, that was what made Tupac. If Drake makes you feel it for all these emo dudes, that's what makes Drake, is you feeling him.
But we felt it because he wrote it, because he did some or a lot of that. Drake isn't writing his own words. He might as well be an actor.
But they feel him. They feeling him.
Well, and the thing about it is Drake can write his own though. Like, that's the other part about it. Drake ghost wrote for other people. So it's not like Drake can't do it. But when you talk about it, Drake has the delivery. He can write his own. But again,
how much does he write?
I'm doing shows, I'm doing interviews, I'm doing all this stuff. I ain't got time to try to write rhymes too in there. So once they get big enough, they let somebody else do the heavy lifting on the writing stuff, and they keep going with making the songs.
Snoop lets people write for him now. But in the beginning, Snoop wrote his own stuff. So it just depends on like to me, Drake doesn't even have a classic album. For as dope as he is and as successful as he is, he doesn't have a classic album. He has a whole bunch of hits, but there is no album that I will point to and say, yeah, that would have got 5 mics right there. So just saying.
Because they're not shooting for that anymore. That's not the goal. Like, the goal changes. Like, if you just look at if this is the gold standard, this is what we're trying to do. Like, because I can't, when was the last real classic album for real?
A Gangsta's
50
Pain.
might have made the last classic album. Maybe Kanye.
Yeah, I will say no.
Like, but there ain't been a real classic album in 10, 15 years, bro. Because that's not what they doing for.
Some would say 444. Some did say 444.
I agree. You know what? And because who is he? That's how he came out. That's what he does.
And what was it? 6 songs on it?
Yeah.
No. It was like 10 or 11.
But the thing about it is that is he came up in a certain time period. He came up in a certain time period.
As Omar said, you don't see no sweat in my brow.
Yeah. He came up in a certain time period, so he's used to that. But like, these rappers out today ain't really doing it like that. And maybe some people will say a J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar or something like that. And that's fine.
They're not striving to be top 10. That's fine. They're conceding that. Like, you almost agree with me. They're conceding it. They're not striving. They're just getting it to make money and be popular and bang chicks.
You're setting up your own parameters of what a top. Like, now they gotta have
what they tell me. They say they just want
who the hell is they?
The artists. Do you watch their interviews on YouTube? They just want to make money. They don't care about how dope their lyrics are. So they're just out there to make money.
Because
as opposed to Nas and Jay, they wanted that. It was competitive to them.
Okay. Maybe this won't go too far. So my question revolves around the good old NFL. So, any y'all a Dolphins fan yet?
No.
Because Dolphins doing it for the culture, right?
For the culture.
That dude said he ain't black.
Oh, he came out and said he ain't black?
He said something like that.
He said he's biracial.
Yeah, something like that. I forgot. I got to look it up.
Because there's been this big debate on, the whole black enough debate on both sides. People are getting mad at other people saying that he's not black enough and why does he have to defend his blackness? And then it started getting this colorism conversation and all that. And what was interesting to me, because I read this article about it and it kind of had me for a second, but then I thought about, and I feel like we've had this discussion before, what is it to be black, right? And I think, I don't remember everybody's discussion or answer, but for me, black is a shared experience, especially in America, because you have other people from other countries who'll come over here and they're quick to say, I'm not black. They'll say that day one, give them long enough when they adapt to this American black experience. When people see you as the other dude, they see you as the other nigga, then you kind of default to blackness, right? Like and the reason I brought this up because it made me think about is like we're questioning his blackness, but have you seen pictures of his family, him and his family together? Oh, they can be on any Abercrombie poster or anything like that. And it's part of that black experience is when I walk in a room, you automatically know I'm black. You automatically can have these assumptions about me. If he got pulled over by the police, does he have the same fears as the three of us have? Does he have those same shared experiences as the rest of America? To me, that's what makes people black, is that we can't escape it. It's not just your genetics. Like, well, his grandmother and father were black, and so he's black. He got some black in him. But at the same time, he can escape it anytime he wants. And until recently, it seems like he's escaped it his whole life. Until this conversation came up. And I'm going to send you guys a picture of what we're looking at and help me defend him as somebody who's black.
I agree with you. I think it's a difference of genetically being black and being part of the diaspora, right? Like, I think that's what you're kind of describing. He has no connection to the diaspora. He wasn't raised with that automatic assumption of guilt, right? The presumption of guilt. He wasn't raised, and I don't know his entire history, right? But from my understanding, he wasn't raised in a black neighborhood that got over policed. He didn't have to ever run from the cops or whatever because they came by or whatever. Like, you know, he doesn't understand that part of it. And on top of that, even if he was in a wealthier neighborhood, he didn't get the looks of "you don't belong here" when he was walking down the street if he grew up in a wealthier neighborhood. So those are the parts that, like you say, that's the diaspora part. It's that shared experience of being the other. Yeah. He's never had to deal with being the other. Yeah. And so,
because I don't want to make it seem like
I don't see him as black.
Yeah, every black person had to run for the police and all this. But the thing about it is, at any point, your blackness can kick in to the point where others, no matter what to me, blackness is no matter what other people identify, no matter what you identify as, other people are going to group you. When you can't escape that, that's part of the black experience. It's, you can grow up in these nice neighborhoods, like you said, but you might not have problems for 20 years. 20 years in one day, you might be walking down the wrong street at the wrong time, and all of a sudden you fit the description.
What's his name? Whatever his name is now, he ain't black though. Oh my God. He's not black.
No. Mike McDaniel. Okay. Mike McDaniel. You see, you're saying like how it's am I lying? Nah. Like you can't, he can't escape. I don't care how successful any of us get. As long as we stay in America, we're going to be looked at a certain way, maybe not by everybody, but then you have to assume, what do people see you as?
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, he could be.
Right. Look at the picture.
I've seen the picture. I know what he looks like. I've seen the picture with his whole family. I mean, his dad barely looks black, let alone him. So, you know, but my thing about it is, I know black people that we consider black that look like him, right? I know some kind of like mixed Latinos that look more Latino and could pass for white, but they still have, like I said, that shared experience, right? They still grew up in it, right? They understand the plight and what we're going through, and they felt it at some point in life, even if it isn't like, you're black, so I'm going to identify you as black because you look black. Maybe it is proximity to blackness, and so you were guilty by association. So even if you didn't look black, you were guilty by association. So you felt the heat, I guess is the best word for it. So I know people that look like him that I would still consider like black because they have the genetic part of it, and they have dealt with the stigma of it as well, even if they don't look it all the way. So I mean, but I think what we're talking about, and it's really hard, it's really difficult, because we're basically judging somebody's blackness, right? We're saying, oh, he's not black, but somebody that may look just like him could be black.
I'm not saying that either.
We consider them black.
You saying that?
you saying anybody that looks like him can't be black.
I can't see, because to me, it's not like black people have the stereotypes. Black people have rhythm. They can do certain things. To me, it's an experience that you can't escape. And when you can walk around, these people you're talking about, if they put on a suit and they step away from Rozzy and they go sit on Wall Street, do people see them as black?
Yeah, but like I said, that's exactly what people with that past back in the day did, right? It's like he could pass for that and he could do that, but if he grew up with that shared experience, even if he didn't look like that, like he wasn't the person that everybody was looking at like that, but if he grew up in that shared experience, he has that empathy, he has that understanding with us. So like that gives him some blackness.
I can see that for a white person who's truly 100% white or Caucasian that grew up in a black neighborhood and has a certain empathy. To me, that's little to no difference. It's the society. Can you escape your blackness? The society
see you as black.
Yeah. So my thing is like, you can share that, we had, the white Mikes and all these dudes, like everybody has that cool white boy, whatever. But if they wanted to abandon you and abandon their blackness or their group of black friends, you can never see them again and they'll be okay. This dude if they never mentioned his biracial aspect, we would have never had this conversation. Ever.
Yeah. And again, being biracial, and I guess that's why I am kind of on the fence about it, right? Like being biracial, I understand. So I can't speak to how he was raised in his household, right? Like I can't speak that his dad may given him the talk, and he may have experienced it through his father, right? Like his dad may have experienced that same racism or the microaggressions. He may have seen it. His dad may have talked to him about it.
It's society.
I always talk about the whole, when I was going into Saraland in the restaurant and we got kicked out because my mom and dad were together and they were like, we don't do that here. like I saw that as a kid. I didn't personally experience that racism at that point. It was my parents that did it, but I saw it. And so it shaped me. So I don't know what his lived experiences is for him to actually be able to be black, quote unquote. But my thing is, I get what you're saying about if society doesn't see you as black, but if he had been upfront about him being biracial, if he had leaned into his blackness, if he had touted that, but that's what I didn't see. Like I've never heard of this guy. I didn't see any his black family around and them celebrating. I didn't see him at the cookouts and stuff like that. Like I need to see that to be able to be like, okay, you're black. And that's the part I don't see. I don't see him leaning into his blackness.
Buff, I know we talked a lot.
Nah, he said it all. And I was going to say, it doesn't sound like he had much of a problem with not being considered black. So
yeah, it was more of the people defending the fact that he doesn't have to defend his blackness. And he doesn't have to defend anything. But I don't want to let the NFL escape by checking that box.
Right. That I agree with. I don't want them to be like, yeah, we got a black person because we got this multiracial person that can pass for white, that looks white, that hasn't dealt with the same things that those black folks had to do.
And they're reversing it to the point now you're being racist. Now you're being super critical. And it's kind of like, come on, dude. And I'm not saying he's not a good hire. I'm, to each his own, but it's like, don't use this as your way out. Don't question me for having to live in a black world that I can never escape and kind of say, hey, this is different. Asterisk. Here's the asterisk again. Like his life is different. Maybe he grew up in a black neighborhood. Maybe he did all this stuff. But as soon as he left that black neighborhood and got into coaching, the world didn't see him as black anymore. Like he could hide his blackness. He could have did everything you said, Rozzy. He could be playing spades right now, for all we know. But the world, and then a lot of times, you know, like we talked about your girl Adele, if he was for the people, how she was for the women, she's gonna stand up and say, you know what, yo, I don't care what people say. I understand you get it. I've been dealing with this all my whole life, but I'm one of y'all. I'm one of us. I'm here for the people.
That's what I mean, leaning into that blackness, like exactly what I do. Like you would never hear me say anything other than I'm black and Italian. Like I lean into both of those.
Yeah.
You know, everybody who knows me knows that I am both, and I'm not gonna, you know, dumb that down.
And you have a harder time proving that you're Italian. Like you,
exactly.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, because you can't, the world won't let you escape your blackness. They'll let you escape your Italianism, you know. So, all right, fellas, go ahead and close it out, man. It was a good show.
Real quick, Ferg and Rozzy, is Puff Daddy in your top 10? He's made hits and sold millions.
No.
I see him as a pop star, not a rapper.
Okay, he's a rapper. All right, so real quick, first and foremost, we had Eugene Goodman on here a few weeks ago. We are still appreciative of that and all the attention we got from it. One of the things that he asked, because people were asking us, how can we support him? He can't receive monetary gifts and things like that. One of the ways you can support Eugene Goodman, if you are a fan of what he did and who he is support the Wounded Warrior Project. That is his favorite charity. So go to support.woundedwarriorproject.org. I hope I said that right for you guys. And donate to them. It's his favorite charity. As you know, he was in the military. Ferg and Rozzy was as well. So it's a great cause. If you want to support Eugene Goodman, do that. Second, real quick, I had an unpopular take, I believe, on social media with the baby jumping Danny Lee, or whatever her name is, Danny Lay's brother. People were saying that was, you know, I don't want to say the word, but BITCH made, things like that. Here's my take on it. If you publicly tell somebody it's on site.
Exactly.
It's on site. Don't walk up to me with a cup in your hand talking about, can we talk? No, we can't talk because you told me it's on site. And as far as, well, he ain't have to jump him. Listen, boxing has rules. Karate has rules. Then you say, Sophie, your daughter takes karate? They got rules, right?
Taekwondo?
Yeah, they got rules.
Yeah.
Okay? MMA has rules. Street fights, ain't got no rules. I mean, yeah, it's nice if people do it one-on-one, but it's not a sanctioned bout. So
because I'll tell you, if you fighting one of my homeboys, it ain't one-on-one.
You know what I mean? So
it ain't ever gonna be one-on-one.
It is what it is. I get people that disagree with it, but I'm just saying the dude did say on site, and that's exactly what he got. Finally, I just want to say this. I read a book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent. He can be such a clown on social media sometimes and such a bully. Pleasantly surprised that I actually enjoyed his book. He had a lot of great advice in it. It's almost like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you ever read that book, it's like a rap hood version of that. Dude got some good advice, man. So I got to give him his props. And I enjoyed the book so much to where I am now back into reading. Like as soon as I finished that book, I started on another one. So is it like
the Rick Ross book?
I haven't read that one yet. But he tells you his whole journey and the things that he's learned, the losses that he's learned from, techniques on negotiations and things like that. Just a different way of looking at things and not making excuses. He's not about making excuses, which I find that a lot of rich people are not. Rich people do not like excuses. So that's all I got, man.
Yeah. That's that whole pull yourself up by your, that's how they got that pull yourself up by your bootstraps mentality, is that they don't make excuses, so they feel like nobody else should either. All I got, man, is for the LGBTQ community out there, I want to call out and let you know that we support you even though Florida doesn't. I don't know if you guys have heard about the parental rights and education bill that is about to get signed in Florida. They're calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. If you see something about that, but basically it's telling folks that I don't see gayness, just like the whole I don't see color thing. And it's like, oh, you can't have conversations about gayness or gender or anything like that in schools. It says at an age appropriate, but they don't define it. So really what all they're doing is just opening it up where parents can sue the school if anybody talks about that. And then each case is going to have to be heard. So they're just going to clog up the system and everything like that. So teachers trying to avoid that and administrators trying to avoid that are probably just going to say, nope, we're just not going to talk about it at all because we want to avoid the lawsuits and stuff. So it's a very roundabout way to try to take discussions about gender and sexuality out of schools altogether. So again, to the community, just want you guys to know that we support you. We think it's dumb, just like the leaders of that community have said that it's dumb, and we stand by you. That's all I got, man.
All right. Well, when the show drops, it will be Valentine's Day with the M.
Valentine's Day.
So for all the lovers in the house, enjoy your weekend, enjoy your day. Do something special, I guess. You know, I'm the wrong person to say anything about Valentine's. But I want to thank, once again, our guest last week, Miss Samara Curtis.
That's how you
I
say it.
hope you enjoyed the interview. Huh?
That's how you saying it. Samara
Curtis. We hope you enjoyed it. You're welcome back anytime. Thank you for all the new listeners. Thank you for Inspire You on Air, the new Beat of the Bay, for letting us be a part of your family. So once again, it's the 6 Rules of Podcast. You heard them here first on Three Brothers No Sense. Write this down, people. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.